I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future, and instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. $1 Million Racehorse. As an entrepreneurial personality type, you are $1 million racehorse. In fact, if you've ever in your life thought to yourself, I can make $1 million, if you already have made $1 million, if you've grossed $1 million, if you've created revenue on your own of any kind and you know you can amplify it, then you are $1 million racehorse. And here's why I bring this up at this time of year. Because this is the time of year, especially over the next week or two, when a huge percentage of the population ignores this fact. And I think as entrepreneurs, we owe it to ourselves to choose awareness at this time of year. We owe it to ourselves to choose performance at this time of year. We owe it to ourselves to choose being present and seeing the opportunities around us at this time of year, instead of doing what the rest of the world does and allowing the traditions of the season to have us overindulge and eat in a way that we know does not support momentum, and drink more than we normally would, and stay up later than we normally would, and miss sleep, and throw off our schedules, and do all kinds of other things headed into the beginning of the year when we all would admittedly want to be at our best and create as much momentum as we can so we can make 2018 massive. And instead, we allow tradition and the pressure of the crowd around us and this atmosphere that happens this time of year to overrule judgment, to overrule us actually achieving what we want, to overrule some delayed gratification in the present and choosing a bigger and more effective and more incredible 2018. Because that's how we get there. We get there through remaining present. We get there through eating the right foods. We get there through having the right habits. You know, in July of this year, I went on just an incredible trip with Russell Brunson. He invited me to a place in Vegas called Private's Cove, to a private mastermind with some of the most intense entrepreneurs I've ever gotten the privilege to spend time around. This was where I first met Ray Higdon. This was where I first met Trey Llewellyn, Alex Hormozy. It was an incredible mastermind. It just blew me away. It was crazy how intense the other people that were there were. It was amazing watching, being with other entrepreneurs who really care about making a difference and making a contribution. And Trey Llewellyn, who I just mentioned, spoke, and he gave just this incredible presentation about this opportunity he'd created online and how many millions of units he had sold, and it just got bigger and bigger. And as he explained it, it was incredible. It was a story of how he had overwhelmed a business, and it had radical challenges. You know, a lot of businesses die from overeating. A lot less die from starvation. Like, most of the time when you're trying to grow and scale a business, you're trying to contain an opportunity. And Trey told this story about like making an opportunity so big he couldn't contain it. And here's what I know about entrepreneurs who create massive opportunities. It didn't matter that Trey couldn't contain his first one. I mean, he had some serious challenges. He had millions and tens of millions of units of a tactical flashlight ordered, and he detailed for us like just how many orders they missed and how they couldn't get it all out and how they had just become overwhelmed. And Here's what I know about entrepreneurs who create opportunities that massive. They aren't lightning makers. When an entrepreneur can do that once, they can do it over and over and over again. And I remember when I was speaking saying, if you are an entrepreneur, you have the same earning potential as a professional athlete. Because it was a mastermind where we each spoke for a half hour. I don't want to make it sound like everybody was gathered to hear me. Russell gave everybody in the room a half hour to just share what was going on, who they were, and share the best tips they could give anybody in the room. And so when I was speaking, I said, if you're an entrepreneur, you have the earning potential of a professional athlete. You have the influence potential of a professional athlete. You should look like a professional athlete. And if you know you can make millions of dollars, you are $1 million racehorse. If you owned $1 million racehorse, Trey, and I called him out on it because when an entrepreneur can create massive opportunity, I want them to take care of their physiology. I want them to get obsessed with being in momentum physically, because if they do, that in and of itself will create massive momentum. And if they do, that will support the momentum they create the next time. And if they do, they will be more present and more aware, and they'll understand just a little bit more about making the right decisions at the right inflection points the next time this happens, and they'll do better. And the more present and aware an entrepreneur is physiologically, the better they do. And I did a podcast with Trey, and he was in his studio, and before we started, he actually said, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, when you called me out, I made some changes." And he held up a water bottle, and he had lost like 20 pounds. And dude, I mean, he's a good looking guy. And before he looked good, now he looks incredible. He's like, but here's, that's who we are as entrepreneurs. All it takes is for you to hear the right thing at the right time, and you can change overnight. You know that about yourself. So allow this to be that thing for you, the same way it was for Trey. You are $1 million racehorse. And if you owned one, we would know it by looking at it. It was well taken care of. We would know it by what it ate. It was well taken care of. We would know it by how you took care of it. You wouldn't run it every day. You wouldn't run it to exhaustion. You wouldn't run it without feeding it. You wouldn't run it without making sure it was hydrated, because you could damage that $1 million racehorse. And here's the fact. We all feel like we're invincible right up until the point where we aren't. Or we all feel like we're invincible because we don't realize, even though we don't have symptoms of illnesses, our presence and awareness is so low, we're not creating the right outcomes. We're not getting what we want. And so if you're stuck in your life, if your business has plateaued, if you know that you're leaving opportunity on the table, here's a massive shortcut for success. Start treating yourself like that $1 million racehorse. Make it so when somebody looks at you, they see a professional athlete, because that's what every evolutionary hunter should look like. We are physiologically sensitive, momentum-based beings who are highly reactive to constraint. That's who we've been since the beginning of time. The evolutionary hunter has always been physiologically driven. We feel the world through our bodies, and we interpret those feelings through our minds. So make your body the finest tuned instrument you possibly can, especially at this time of year. Because it's not just having a few drinks here and there. It's not just eating the sweet foods and the sugars and the cakes and the desserts. It's not just overindulging for a few days. Here's what it really is. It's making the proactive choice to step out of momentum. It's making the proactive choice to lower your ability to be present and lower your ability to be aware. And it's making the proactive choice to put constraint in front of yourself on purpose. And when you understand who people like us are, when you understand yourself and you know just how important being in momentum is, you know that for people like us, it's everything. And when we are in momentum, everything in the world gets easier. And when we can stay there, we make better choices, we move in the right direction, we create greater outcomes in the world, and we accomplish what we want. And so this is one of the biggest shortcuts you can make this year. Make the commitment to hydrate. Make the commitment to eat whole foods. Get up every day and do functional movement. Go listen to my podcast on eating whole foods, on Primal Foot, on the 10-Day Natural Thirst Challenge, and put all that stuff in place and start some tactical meditation and breathing, and you will see your entire life change. So right now, while the rest of the world checks out, check in and prove to everyone around you you are that $1 million racehorse, and let them see it when they look at you. If you're ready to start this right now, don't delay at all. End this podcast and go directly to getthirstynow.com. Join my 10-day natural thirst challenge. It's absolutely free of charge. This is my gift to you. When you are finally as hydrated as you should be, when you reawaken your natural thirst, when your body alerts you to when it needs water and you stay fully hydrated, you're going to be shocked at how much momentum you get from this one program we have. GetThirstyNow.com. Let's make 2018 the year you finally step into the level of momentum you know you're capable of.